Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Randy Sadama, and this is Pelican News. Tonight, reporters went to Japan and Thailand to explore and give us some feedback on past earthquakes and recommendations on how these earthquakes could have caused less damage.
Thank you, Andreas. As you can see, we are here in Thailand in an earthquake-prone area, giving you feedback on the effect of the earthquake in December 26, 2004. The earthquake was a whopping 9.1 on the moment magnitude scale. It took place on a Sunday morning just off the coast of northern Sumatra and was, in fact, the third largest earthquake ever reported. Approximately 5,000 people died and many more injured in the area. However, many people in other areas were affected by the earthquake as well. It was estimated in between 9 and 10 on the Mercalli scale. A tsunami followed the earthquake and drowned much of the fishing business. Damage caused by landslides also occurred and affected buildings that were poorly constructed and were old. Better construction could have definitely changed the outcome of the earthquake, along with steel columns supporting the buildings. A built-in wall could have most likely prevented tsunami damage in the area and other areas as well. A town siren could have also been useful, as well as an evacuation plan already prepared and in place. That's all from our side of the story. Back to you, Andreas.
Thank you, Caroline. We hope that message allowing some people are prepared for an earthquake. Speaking of earthquake preparedness, we have come up with a list of items that would be useful to pack in case of an earthquake if you live in areas such as San Diego and Coronado. A flashlight, in case you're trapped in a collapsed building, dry food, in case of destroyed food source, batteries and radio to hear broadcasting of other damaged areas, blankets, first aid kit for injuries, extra bag of clothes in case the rest of clothes are inaccessible, flare gun to send signals, water filter in case of other fresh water that's not accessible, and a small fire extinguisher in case there are small fires that are essential to put out, such as the ones on clothing. These items will be kept in an emergency backpack. We also have another reporter on the field telling us about the earthquake in Honshu, Japan. Thank you, Andres. We are here in Honshu, Japan, in an earthquake-prone area reporting the damage that was caused by the earthquake on March 11, 2011. This earthquake was a 9.0 on the moment magnitude scale and the fourth largest earthquake ever to be recorded. There were approximately 16,000 deaths and 6,000 injured in the earthquake. And damage was caused by fires, flooding, and falling structures in the area. The flooding also resulted in no clean water because of the sediments in the ground and in the buildings. It was estimated as a 9 on the Mercalli scale because of the very violent damage the earthquake caused. To be better prepared for an earthquake of these conditions, safer building plans should be put into effect due to the dense population in Japan. Unsafe oil pipes may also cause major fires and therefore must be moved to a more secure location, preferably where there is no ignite. Water should also be conserved by storage of water underground. That's all from Honshu, Japan. Now back to you, Andres. Thank you, Jim. It seems that these two earthquakes have many similarities and differences. Our earthquake crew has put together a comparison and would like to be announced tonight. For one, life loss was very different from these two earthquakes. The one in Honshu, Japan was a lot greater because of the denser population in the area, and the earthquake in Thailand had less than half of the casualties. Tsunami damage was a great factor in the intensity of the earthquake, and the fires in Japan were a great factor as well. However, in both earthquakes, buildings were damaged because of the poor construction that was caused. Now, one of the reporters has information on the different kinds of hazards that must be prepared for in a general earthquake in a general area.
Thank you, Andreas. I'm here to report on hazards that could be useful knowledge to know if you're living in an earthquake-prone area. One major hazard that could be in danger if you're living on top of a hill or near a hill are landslides. We have recommendations about landslides, and one of them is to make sure you're aware of landslides and have an evacuation beforehand so you'll be prepared. Evacuation plans in your area would also be good knowledge to have essentials are also needed to be ready, such as water, flashlights, dry food, and clothes. Flowing water and trees are also something that should be avoided in order to be safe from a landslide occurrence. Falling objects are also a hazard and can be really dangerous. Bolting compartments with objects to the wall in a recent product that can be purchased at Michael's was also discovered to be amazing called earthquake putty. This putty keeps objects on a shelf or compartment from moving at all. During the earthquake, be sure to stay in a basement or a clear hallway to refrain from injury. Tsunamis may also be a hazard if you live near the ocean and if you are in an earthquake-prone area. This is considered a secondary hazard, but it still has colossal effect on on the number of deaths. Knowing the signals of nearby tsunamis would be essential to have in a case of a tsunami. This would prevent you from going on the beach where tsunamis is nearing. Scientists believe that having a disaster supply occurs, be sure to check the radio of tsunami warning. If you are in the process of evading a tsunami, follow the authorities' protocols and evacuation plans. Fires are also a hazard, and it's recommended you get out of the fire immediately and call for help. Smoke alarms should definitely be installed inside bedrooms in order to alert everyone living in a house or in buildings. We also recommend that you set up an evacuation plan in your building or in your home to be prepared for a fire. That's all from our side over here. Back to you, Andreas.
Thank you for watching Pelican News, and good night from our news station.